Welcome to a mysterious and spine-chilling Halloween night. In today's video, we'll explore 3 horror stories that you won't be able to look away from. First, let me take you back to Halloween night in 1974, when a sweet candy became a ruthless killer. The story of the poisoned candy is not only a tragedy, but also a horrifying conspiracy orchestrated by the victim's own father, leaving the community in shock for years. Next, we'll uncover a haunted house where tragic events once unfolded. A group of young people will test their bravery by stepping into the abandoned home. But what they didn't expect was that the terrifying spirits still linger in this space. Lastly, follow a group of friends on a trip to a cemetery on Halloween night in 1993. Where they encountered an unsolvable mystery and strange images left behind on the camera they brought. Prepare yourself for the unimaginable, as these stories are not just legends but also cautionary tales for all of us. Do you have what it takes to join me in exploring each story? Make sure to stay until the end of the video so you don't miss a thing. The story of the poisoned candy on Halloween night in 1974. On Halloween night in 1974, a horrifying event took place in Houston, Texas. Ronald Clark O'Brien, a father, took his son Timothy, 8 years old, and daughter Elizabeth, 5 years old, along with several other children, trick-or-treating in the neighborhood. Everything seemed normal until Ronald gave his son a Pixie Stix candy. After returning home, Timothy ate the candy. But shortly after, he began vomiting and experienced violent convulsions. Timothy was rushed to the hospital but sadly did not survive. Doctors later discovered that the candy had been laced with cyanide, a deadly poison. The police launched an investigation, initially believing that someone in the neighborhood had handed out poisoned candy. However, upon closer inspection, they uncovered that it was Ronald, the father, who had poisoned his own son to collect insurance money. Ronald had taken out life insurance policies on both of his children shortly before Halloween and planned to profit from Timothy's death. Ronald O'Brien was arrested and sentenced to death. This event left the community shaken and more cautious about checking candy on Halloween. Ronald later became known as the Candy Man, the Candy Killer. Story 2. The haunted house on Halloween. On Halloween night in a small American town, a group of young people decided to test their courage by visiting an abandoned house that locals claimed was haunted. This house had been vacant for years after the family who once lived there suffered a terrible tragedy. It was said that the mother of the family had become possessed by an evil spirit, leading her to kill her husband and children before taking her own life. The group of friends, intrigued by the local legend, decided to enter the house to see if the stories were true. At first, everything seemed normal, with only eerie silence surrounding them. However, as they ventured deeper into the house, strange things began to happen. Footsteps echoed from upstairs, even though no one was there. Then came faint, haunting cries from afar, like the sound of a woman sobbing. One of them felt a hand on their shoulder, but when they turned around, no one was there. Panic started to spread, and they decided to leave immediately. But when they tried to open the door, it seemed locked from the outside. In their terror, they heard a chilling voice whisper from the living room, "Don't go." Eventually, the door mysteriously opened, and the group fled the house. After that night, they were haunted by what they experienced, with some having nightmares for weeks. They believed that the spirit of the mother had tried to keep them in the house, just as she had done with her family years before. To this day, the house still stands, untouched, and no one dares to enter it, especially on Halloween night. Story 3. The Ghostly Trip. On Halloween night in 1993, a group of friends in a small American town decided to throw a costume party to celebrate the holiday. They decorated the house with carved pumpkins, lanterns, and other spooky items. Once they finished, they decided to visit a local cemetery that was known for its eerie tales. When they arrived at the cemetery, the moonlight was just bright enough to illuminate the small path leading into the graveyard. The group began wandering between the graves, sharing scary stories and daring each other to stay near the tombstones the longest. As they stood by an old grave, one of them, named Jake, dared to touch the headstone. Immediately, he felt a cold wind blow through him, and a whisper sounded in his ear. "Leave this place." The group exchanged frightened glances, but Jake laughed it off, claiming it was just a prank. Their fun didn't last long. When they decided to leave the cemetery, none of them could find the way out. Every path they took seemed to lead them back to the same spot. One of them started to feel as though they were being watched and constantly heard strange noises around them. After nearly an hour of searching, they finally found the exit. But when they returned home, they realized they had left their camera behind in the cemetery. They decided to go back and retrieve it. When they found the camera, something strange had happened. All the photos they had taken in the cemetery were blurry, except for one. It was a clear image of a woman dressed in white, standing among the graves, her cold eyes staring right at them. Since that night, Jake and his friends never returned to the cemetery on Halloween. They still talk about the experience, and the eerie photo became a legend in their small town, reminding everyone that there are things we shouldn't meddle with, especially on Halloween night. Thank you for watching today's story. I hope these chilling experiences have made you reflect on fears and trust in life. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss out on more engaging stories and interesting content in the future. Thank you for your support, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.